Hey everyone, so today's video we have a fun one planned. We are going to be actually doing some restoration on these two vintage 1960s Barbies. We have an earlier one, we have a swirl ponytail, and then we have a talking Barbie. So she was a little bit more earlier mid-60s, she was a little bit more on the later side of the 60s. Honestly, they don't need a ton of work. Really just need a good wipe down and a good restyling of their hair. Unfortunately, talking Barbie doesn't work, which is usually the case, so I'm really not gonna attempt to fix her, but maybe one of these days I'll get around to attempting. But if you're curious on how to clean up a vintage Barbie, keep watching and hope you enjoyed the info. All right, so what we have to do first is start by undressing them. Now they do have a surface level of dirt and debris, so I do recommend that. And unfortunately, with a lot of the talking Barbies, her legs tend to like to pop off. So here we go. We'll just go ahead, I guess, pop those off. I will say her arms are in nice working shape, which is nice. But yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid getting any water around the voice box, obviously. But other than that, you don't have to be too careful with these. All right, let's get it started, shall we? All right, so we got some lukewarm soapy water. Now I will say if these are a little bit on the grimier side, definitely try to use some soft and scrub, especially on the legs. I highly recommend it. Now with these straight leg early ponytail and bubble cut dolls, you are able to actually just completely submerge them in water. Now, I will say on some of the twist and turns and talking ones, I wouldn't recommend completely submerging them in water. Obviously, they are prone to greening. They have some copper mechanisms in their knees, which if exposed to too much water over time, can definitely turn green over time, unfortunately. So I definitely side on the caution when cleaning up the legs. I just, again, give them a good wipe down. I don't fully submerge them, and especially if you have any tears or snags in the knees or legs, I'd be extra careful because obviously water can get kind of soaked in there a little bit easier. So again, when in doubt, just give them a good surface level clean. And I will say these early Barbies do clean up pretty well as long as there's no like major flaws. So yeah, really just getting in there, trying to do the best we can. I do have a little bit of a cleaning solution. I looked for some soft and scrub, but unfortunately, I think we're out of it. But that would be my #1 go-to if I were to recommend cleaning up these old dolls, especially the earlier 60s ones for sure. But I will say, I mean, from learning to clean and do restoration, I mean, some of it is just naturally trial and error. But I will say I have been very grateful for different groups like Barbie groups on Facebook and other places to help kind of accumulate some knowledge when it comes to cleaning these gals. Again, I will say one YouTube channel I have learned a lot from will be Sumi, which I think she does mostly news stuff nowadays, but she used to do a lot of reselling, I think, and she used to be, or I don't know if she still does, but she used to do a lot of Barbie videos, which I definitely learned a lot from. So I'll leave her channel down below if you want to go check her out. You'll just have to type in Barbie. I think she does like a lot of like the royal family coverage, which honestly, I can't say I know too much about. But I will say, if you are needing to remove their heads, never just kind of like pop them off. That can definitely lead to neck splits, especially if they might already have a pre-existing one. It will just make it worse. So I recommend dunking their heads in water or using a steamer to loosen up that vinyl and slowly but surely wiggle it off. Definitely don't want to yank them too vigorously. Another little tip. So just giving these a wipe down. Pretty easy. And I'll definitely show you the restyling of their hair because that is part of the fun part for me. Some people hate hair. Again, I have a past with cosmetology. Now, I will say, I did actually treat this Barbie for green ear, so she did have a little bit of damage before I started, but we already have resolved that. If I do say so myself, we did a pretty decent job. And again, we're just trying to avoid the talking mechanism. Obviously, she doesn't talk, but one of these days, I would love to try to play around and fix one of these dolls, so she might just be the one I end up doing since she is a keeper. Now, I actually found both of these dolls this past weekend. I found her at an estate sale with some other Barbie goodies, and then I found the swirl actually at a antique store. So the swirl will be up for grabs in the Etsy. The talking Barbie, which I'm pretty partial to, she will be a keeper. And honestly, partly, I just don't have this hair color. I have the other swirl ponytail in my own collection, but that kind of tends to be the indicator if I keep them or not, if I already have them or so. So we'll definitely keep this one. I've officially cleaned them. I have to reattach her legs later. But we are at the point where I'm going ahead and restyling their hair. So it's not gonna be too hard of a method. They each will be a little bit different, obviously. Probably the talking one will be a little bit easier. So what you will need for this project, obviously you'll need a comb. Here's my busted one. You will need some string. Doesn't really matter. You could either use thread or a little bit of a thicker string. I'll probably be using this one. Some ribbon. I'm actually going to be using some yarn. Now, yarn is my own little twist on it. I just love yarn accents. She's styling the talking one with some yarn in her hair. Just a little bit different since I do have another talking doll or two with her original hair ribbons. I want to change it up a little bit with some yarn. And honestly, I love how yarn looks on dolls. So we are going to redo her. But I always pick up ribbon when I can at the thrift store for real cheap. I bought a big bag of this. Lots of different versions for like $5. So a lot cheaper than going to like Joann's, RIP. I don't think she's surviving too much longer, or Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So let's go ahead and get it started. Oh, and I did forget to mention, you will need a kind of like a crochet hook. It will come in handy here pretty soon. Right, so we are gonna go ahead in with this swirl ponytail. I'm gonna show you how I kind of section her hair out. So basically we are gonna be sectioning her hair in 3 sections. First, we're gonna kind of section out her bangs a little bit here, which I kind of have already started. So we're gonna section out her bangs, brush them out, and then we are going to take her hair and look at it, and then we are going to take whatever hair looks a little bit longer than the majority of it. We're going to try to pull this aside. That is going to be what we use to wrap around the signature pony, so just brush that out a little bit, and definitely side on the caution of combing these dolls' hair out. I suggest when you do clean them, giving them a little bit of a treatment, maybe with some fabric softener or something, just to help brush out some of the tangles. I really didn't do much in that department on these. I think I really just gave them a good wipe down. But then after we kind of have sorted out those 3 parts, we're gonna wanna take the base of the pony, make sure it is all nice and smooth. And I guess we need a whole sewing kit because we will need a tiny little needle, if I can find one right here. We'll take a little needle. It's gonna help us out with. All right, and I did go ahead, bring another swirl ponytail over so we can kind of see what we're going to be working on. Now this one is actually up in the Etsy shop, so if you are looking for one, she's over there, link in the bio. But as you can see, she has that little dip in her swirl. So that's where the needle is going to actually come in handy. But let's go ahead and at least do a rough draft of the pony. Again, just making sure it's nice and smooth. Just going to get it where we need it to be. So we'll do it about here. So now we are going to actually take this section, and granted, this isn't the final place we're gonna put it, and then we're just gonna kind of poke it in right about there. All right, so again, got the pony. We are going to wrap that bang around the needle, kind of acting as our guide. And then you are going to take the extra little hank of hair on the side, and we are going to go underneath, around, and that is where the little crochet hook is going to actually come in to place. We're just gonna open it up a little bit. Essentially, I'm gonna go in with my crochet hook and then pull it out through the underneath right here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we have officially brought through the little hair through the backside of the pony. All right, so now we are going to take some wrapping paper for perms, and we are actually just going to pretty much do kind of how we do a perm. So we're gonna take our wrapping paper, sandwich the hair in, pull it a little bit taut, and then we are going to take some wire or a string and then pretty much just roll it up accordingly. So now we are on to the talking Barbie in all of her glory. This one isn't going to be very hard at all. Just gonna make sure we don't have any bangs kind of out of place. Make sure everything is where it should be before we start to tie her hair in a ponytail. So for these dolls, these have 3 little ribbons, one at the base, one in the middle, and one towards the bottom. So essentially that's what we're gonna do with some yarn. Before we do that, first I am gonna take a smaller piece of string, and we are gonna wrap that around the base again, just so we have a starting point. So kind of where her crimp is in her hair, we kind of... All right, so we have the bows officially in, and I am right now just kind of moving her bangs / fringe into proper place. So always best to do this while wet. I'm not gonna be actually dunking her in hot water or anything. Basically, once her hair is all nice and dry, she will be good to go. I mean, as soon as I put on her legs, but that's a story for another day. All right, so we have officially finished both Barbies. I will say, for some reason, this ponytail was probably the hardest I had ever done. I think honestly it was probably just me trying to do it behind a camera. So I ended up having to like finish it off camera, so I do apologize. Maybe I'll do another one soon. But we have, again, the talking Barbie back in her original fit, gave her some shoes. Her hair is restyled, as we can see. Overall, very, very nice. I'm happy about her. So again, she'll be a keeper. And then we have another swirl ponytail, which I think she cleaned up very, very nice. Again, I ended up giving her a red bow as opposed to the yellow one she would have originally come with, and I gave her some red closed-toe shoes. So I do believe it has been a success working on both of these. Definitely let me know down in the comments. Have you worked on some vintage dolls? Or what era of Barbie do you like most in particular? Obviously mine's going to be the mod era. Sorry, earlier 60s. I guess she's more mid. But I do love the mods. So
Until the next one, of course, all of my links are down below, and if you are looking for some vintage Barbie for your own collection, I always have some stocked in the Etsy shop, so see you in the next. Bye!